Welcome to the Immigrantinlaw channel. Today we are going to look at an important question. How to stay in the EU legally after your visa or studies are over. If you are in one of the EU countries on a student, tourist or short-term visa and you are considering staying for a longer period of time, this video is for you. I'll guide you through the legal ways to stay, the most common mistakes and practical steps to help you build a stable and transparent immigration pathway. The main rule: start at least 3-4 months before the end of your current residence permit. Why is this so important? Because in most EU countries you must apply for an extension or change of status before your visa or residence permit expires. Otherwise, your status in the country automatically becomes illegal, even if you are still physically present in the EU. This may result in refusal of your next application, administrative fines, problems with entry to other Schengen countries, and in some cases, deportation and entry ban. In addition, even legitimate submission in the last days can be risky if you do not have time to collect all the documents or if there are delays in the work of the authorities. Therefore, we recommend that you start planning your immigration itinerary well in advance. It is better to strategize and prepare the necessary documents well in advance than to act under time pressure and stress. If you have studied at a European university, you have several routes to pursue for legal residence. And it is important to realize that your diploma is a real asset. It gives you access to a whole range of opportunities that are not available to people without a European education. The main thing is to know how to take advantage of them. Finding a job after studying. Many EU countries allow graduates to stay on their territory to find a job in their specialty. This is the so-called transition period. It lasts from 6 to 18 months depending on the country. Such programs allow you not only to look for a job, but also to work temporarily to support yourself during this period. This is a great opportunity for those who have not yet found an employer before completing their studies but want to stay in the country. Conditions vary from country to country, but in general you will need the following: a diploma from a European educational institution, proof of financial security, usually from 800 to 1,500 euros per month, health insurance, residence registration. If you find a suitable vacancy during this period, you have the right to change your status to a working residence permit without leaving the country. The main thing is to conclude a contract with the employer and properly execute the documents. Continue learning. The second way is to enter the next level of education. If you have completed a bachelor's degree, you can go to a master's program. If you already have a master's degree, look for opportunities for postgraduate study, research, or professional courses. Some programs are funded by the government or international organizations, which helps keep costs down. In addition, students are granted the right to work within the hours. The student residence permit provides flexible living conditions. Studying improves your language, connections, and chances of employment. Important: if you're not sure you'll be able to find a job right away, studying gives you the time and status to prepare for the next step. Start your own business. The third way is entrepreneurship. This option is suitable for those who have not only the desire to stay in the country, but also the willingness to take the initiative in their own hands. A number of EU countries have immigration programs for graduates who want to develop their own business. Such programs are aimed at attracting fresh ideas, young businesses, and innovative projects into the economy. What you'll need: a well-developed business plan with a description of the product or service, target audience, promotion channels, and budget calculation. Financial resources to launch the project and support yourself for the first time. The amount depends on the country and area. Justification of benefits for the economy, jobs created, taxes paid, introduction of new solutions and technologies. Support is particularly pronounced in countries focused on the digital economy and small business development, where such programs are most accessible. Estonia, through e-residency and startup visas. It is possible to register a company fully online. Management is also allowed remotely. Germany, entrepreneurial visas for graduates, especially if the business is related to an in-demand industry or brings local benefits. Netherlands, Latvia, Lithuania, adapted schemes for startups, sometimes with a lower entry threshold for European university graduates. If your project is approved, you receive an entrepreneurial residence permit. Initially temporary, then renewable. With sustainable activity, profit and fulfillment of basic conditions, this path leads to a long-term residence permit and permanent residence permit. This option is suitable for those who want to build a career not as an employee, but as a creator of their own business, and are ready to take on managerial and financial responsibility. The situation becomes more complicated if you are in the EU on a short-term visa, usually up to 90 days, tourist, business, or visa-free agreement. In this case, you do not have a long-term status and it is most often impossible to extend your visa at the place. However, there are some options. It is important to understand that changing from short-term to long-term status is not always possible within the country. In most cases, you will have to leave and apply through the consulate of your country. But some EU countries allow you to do this without leaving, especially in the case of enrollment or marriage. Let's take a closer look at these ways. Enrollment. The most common way is to enroll in an educational institution and obtain a student residence permit. It can be university, language school, under certain conditions, private college with state accreditation. This path is well suited to those who are really willing to invest time in learning and developing professional skills. Here it is important to choose an accredited institution. Find out in advance whether the country allows you to apply for a student residence permit from within the country or only from abroad. For example, in Poland and the Czech Republic, you can apply for a residence permit directly in the country, while in Germany and Austria, you will most often have to return home and apply through the consulate. Also note that you will need to prove that you have the means to pay for your studies and living expenses, as well as insurance and proof of residence in order to be admitted. Marriage to an EU citizen or resident. If you are in a serious relationship with an EU citizen or a person with a permanent residence permit, you can get married and apply for a residence permit for family reunification. In this case, you will need proof of the authenticity of the relationship, registration of the marriage with the authorized body, cohabitation and intention to maintain a common household. It is very important. EU countries strictly monitor fake marriages. If the suspicion is confirmed, the consequences can be serious, up to criminal liability, denial of residence permits, and entry bans. However, if the relationship is real and everything is properly formalized, it is a legal way to stay and potentially obtain long-term residence. Obtaining a working residence permit. The third possible way is to find an employer and obtain a labor contract. After that, you can apply for a work visa or a residence permit for employment. But there is an important limitation here. In most EU countries, you cannot simply switch from a tourist visa to a work residence permit while inside the country. You have to return to your home country and submit the documents through the consulate. And it is important to take this into account even before signing a contract. You will need an offer of employment from a registered employer, a contract stating the terms and conditions of employment, compliance of the profession with the requirements for foreigners, proof of qualification. This pathway is suitable for those who have in-demand skills, are fluent in the language, and are ready to enter the labor market quickly. If you have the flexibility to choose a country for your future residence, it is worth considering in advance where it will be easier for you to legalize and build a long-term strategy. EU countries have different immigration rules, and what is possible in one jurisdiction may be extremely difficult in another. Below is a brief overview of the countries that our clients most often choose due to their relatively clear and feasible requirements. Poland allows change of status within the country. Simple and clear procedure for applying for residence permit. Comparatively low requirements for financial security. Large labor market, especially in services, logistics, and construction. Not always fast processing of documents. Czech Republic. There is a search visa for graduates. It is possible to apply for change of status without leaving the country. Clear package of documents and transparent deadlines. Conservative migration control system, especially for initial submission. Germany. Expanded opportunities for graduate and professional students. Many programs for blue card and IT specialists. High level of bureaucracy. Strict control over the compliance of documents and proof of income. France. Loyal to former students. APS program. Support programs for young professionals and startups are well developed. Difficulties with proof of residence and address registration. Long time frames for processing applications. Spain, Italy. In-demand destinations in tourism, medicine, education. Available training programs and language courses. More complicated way to obtain a working residence permit. Often a local contract is required prior to submission. Each country, with its own advantages and peculiarities. We always recommend to focus not only on the attractiveness of the country, but also on your real possibilities, language skills, finances, level of education, and the demand for your profession. To ensure that your actions do not result in a refusal, delay, or loss of a chance of legalization, it is important to take into account a few key points. They may seem obvious at first glance, but it is these details that applicants most often fall over. Here are our practical recommendations. Keep an eye on deadlines. Always keep track of the expiration date of your current residence permit. Even one day overdue can lead to a refusal in future applications. It is better to submit it in advance than to have to explain the reasons for lateness to the migration service later on. Prepare documents in advance. Bank statements, rent, insurance, transfers. All of these things take time. Don't leave it to the last week to gather documents, especially if you depend on third parties, employers, schools, landlords. Keep copies of everything. Keep digital and hard copies of all documents submitted, receipts, letters, confirmations. This can come in handy if there is a dispute or a request to resubmit information. State your goals clearly. When communicating with migration authorities, it is important that your motivation is clear, whether you want to continue your studies, work, or open a business. Vague or illogical goals are a frequent reason for refusal. Don't rely on other people's experience. What worked for someone you know may not work for you. Laws change, documents are individualized, and decisions are made on a case-by-case basis. Consult with specialized experts. Legal support at the stage of document preparation can save you not only time but also money. This is especially important if you are applying for the first time or changing your status within the country. Even if the procedure seems simple, filing on your own without accurate information about current requirements may result in rejection. It is important not just to apply, but to do it at the right time, with the right logic, and a full set of supporting documents. If you are not sure where to start or have already encountered difficulties, don't worry. We accompany our clients every step of the way, from the first steps to the ultimate goal, obtaining EU citizenship. Our team of lawyers does not just advise, we take over your process completely, on a turnkey basis, analyzing your situation and selecting the most optimal strategy, preparation of a full package of documents, taking into account the requirements of a particular country, filing an application and handling the case on your behalf, legal support at all stages, up to obtaining the status of a citizen, preparation of translations, certifications, registration with authorities, interaction with migration and consular authorities. Immigrantinlaw helps you to acquire citizenship of one of the EU countries, both through naturalization and through simplified mechanisms, by descent, repatriation. Our goal is not just to help you stay in Europe, but to provide you with a stable legal basis to live, work and move freely within the EU. We handle each case individually, with complete confidentiality and attention to detail. If you want all matters to be handled professionally, transparently, and without unnecessary risks, contact us. All contact details are in the description. If you have watched this video to the end, it means that the topic of immigration is really relevant to you. You have learned about the ways to stay in the EU after your visa is expired, or studies, about typical mistakes, about countries where the process is simplified, and about the importance of doing everything in time and correctly. Remember, everyone has their own way, and there is no omni-purpose solution. But in any case, you should start with a clear plan and understanding of your capabilities. And if you need help, we are at your disposal. Immigrantinlaw is a team that accompanies clients through the process of obtaining EU citizenship. We work on a turnkey basis. We analyze the situation, choose a strategy, prepare documents, and guide the case to the result. If you want to stay in the EU legally, confidently, and without chaos, we are ready to be your guide. It all starts with the first step. Leave a request for a free consultation with Immigrantinlaw lawyers. We will choose the best relocation strategy for you, prepare all the necessary documents, explain the nuances of the law in detail, and answer all your questions. Want to learn more or start the process today? Contact us. All contacts are listed in the description below this video. We are here to help you take a confident step towards a new life. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and ask your questions in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. Discover the world of opportunities with Immigrantinlaw.